Every Linux distribution seems to follow someone. Ubuntu came from Debian, Linux Mint came from Ubuntu, and CashOS came from Arch. But then there is Void Linux, a Linux distribution that looked at the entire ecosystem and said that one decision shaped everything that came later. It is built from scratch, it has its own package manager, it doesn't need systemd, and it has no interest in following the crowd. Most Linux distributions focus on making Linux easier, while focuses on keeping the things simpler. Those are not the same thing. Instead of adding more layers, Void removes them. The result is a system that is clean, lightweight, and very predictable. That is why it uses runit instead of systemd. Nearly every major distribution have adopted systemd, including Arch. Void walked the opposite direction, not because of sake of it, but because developers believed that there was a better approach. The same philosophy shows up everywhere. Instead of using apt, pacman, or dnf, Void created XBPS, its own package manager. It is fast, it is lightweight, and it is reliable. Building another package manager sounds like a lot of work, a lot of unnecessary work, but for Void, independence mattered more than convenience. And of course, every decision comes with a trade-off. Void have a much smaller community than Ubuntu or Arch. That means it has fewer tutorials than guides, and sometimes you will have to solve problems yourself. The software repositories are also smaller, so you might not find every package that you are looking for. If you're completely new to Linux, this is not the place where you should start from. But if you spend some time using Linux, Void starts making a lot more sense. It stays out of your way, it gives you the tools, rest is up to you. One question that still remains is, why does a project like Void Linux even matter? Because choice is the reason Linux became what it is. If every distro followed the same ideas, used the same tools, and made the same decisions, Linux would stop being about freedom. Projects like Void Linux keep those alternatives alive. They prove that there is never just one right way to build an operating system. Maybe you will never use Void Linux, that is completely fine. But the fact that it exists pushes the entire Linux community forward. New ideas get tested, and old assumptions get challenged. And users get something every healthy open source community needs: a choice. That's why Void Linux matters. Void Linux was not built to become the next Ubuntu. Popularity was never the goal. Following the trends was never the goal. The goal was really simple: build Linux differently, and years later the idea still stands. Maybe that is why Void Linux has such a loyal community. It proves that Linux still has room for projects that refuse to follow everyone else.